When me touch down, better broke down.
With Gamtel G-Fiber, now you can enjoy super fast internet in gigabytes. G-Fiber is affordable, stable, secured, and accessible to homes, businesses, and enterprises. With Gamtel G-Fiber, the future is speed. Gamtel, creating a brighter future in communication.
That's how she became mine and see the.
All right.
Honey, did you remind him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But don't you know about Baluwo?
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 What is Baluwo?
Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluwo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluwo.com and shop, or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluwo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluwo, better than sending money.
Are you thinking of owning your dream homes? EJ Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3 or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464-838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EJ Investments. EJ Investments, we are first in properties.
In communication, connectivity is everything. We ensure that the links never sleep. Quantities and qualities, all in our data service, providing efficient, reliable voice and data service. We believe if you're not up to speed, then you're going backwards. Communications have to flow as fast as the speed of light. Whatever business you're in, having someone who understands your needs is critical. That is why we just don't offer you technology, we offer you solutions. Enjoy Gamcel's internet broadband anytime, anywhere. Your national operator, Gamcel, Yaibaram.
I get it.
Mbijan aganyadi.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyinji.
Okay. Kosa. Nsila ID soto.
Ah, sa soto. Sorry. I get it.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariya.
Ah,
mbare. Mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariya.
Ah, jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbari ya bere. Ha. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato nim fo bolong blabe to.
56 branches mola sota Gambia jam.
Ha?
Ha. Gambia kono anin Gambia bantala bankol. Nka kono kiya bere. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nin kodi Marong. Jannam number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wala nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi ma nin domorol din fana be teat. Gambia dawda yalo ma fa kendol sotale je.
Ha e wo moyo diat ha.
Apelenta
ni wo ka ni lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bu kanyi la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.
Welcome to the brunch. I'm Cham. This week we will review a hectic session of the National Assembly with the various members of the subcommittees who were busy in the last 6 weeks. We also paid tribute yet again to the late Gambian legendary footballer Biri Biri when we talked to those who played before him, those who played with him, and those who were watching his career both at home and abroad. But that's later on the program. Like I said, today we are going to review what was a hectic 6 weeks in the just ended session at the Gambia National Assembly, where monumental decisions and reports were presented. And with me in the studio to do that, I have 3 honorable National Assembly members, which is a very rare opportunity to have all 3 or to have at least three National Assembly members in one place. So for my left is the Honorable Saikou Marong, is the National Assembly member for Latrikunda, I believe?
Sabiji, yes.
Sabiji.
Latrikunda.
Why Latrikunda Sabiji? Because there's Latrikunda German. All right.
Used to be called Latrikunda Mampatokoro.
Mampatokoro. Exactly. So Latrikunda Sabiji, Mr. Marong, welcome.
Thank you.
And Mr. Marong is also a member of the Health and the Public Enterprise Committee in the National Assembly. And next to him is the Honorable Omar Ceesay. He is the National Assembly member for Nyamina East, and he is also a member of the Environment, Trade, and Human Rights, among others, subcommittee in the National Assembly. Welcome.
It's my pleasure.
Now, the Honorable Amul Nyass, or what is the first name?
Musa.
Musa. Why? But people used to call it just Amul. You tell us how this Amul came about. All right? He is the National Assembly member for Foni Bintang Karanai. Councillor, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Bintang is Modu Kamal.
Absolutely.
Foni Councillor. And he is also a member of the local government subcommittee, as well as health. In fact, he's the chair, as well as the health committee. So thank you very much, all gentlemen. Welcome to the brunch.
It's a pleasure.
Now, like I said, we really want to reflect on some of the things that kept you people busy in the National Assembly bill, and something that caught my eye is the Local Government Amendment Bill, of course. We also have the relaxing of the emergency, and what will this mean now for the efforts to contain COVID. And Mr. Ceesay, also you have been busy in your environment. But let me first ask this general question, Saikou Marong. What do you think are the main flashpoints in this last session?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Cham. Just like you say, it was a very hectic 6 weeks. It was a marathon anyway. Thank God that we have come to the end. And then looking at during these 6 weeks, there was a series of bills that were tabled before this National Assembly. And then key among them was, that was a part of the talking point in this country, was this Local Government Amendment Bill. And then also there was this thing, access to information and communication bill, that was very, very important. And we talked about the Women Amendment Bill, also was something that was also a key. We talked about the criminal proceedings, that was a key also as well. And also we talked about Women Enterprise Fund, that was also very important. So these are some of the issues that we were discussing. And then we didn't stop there also. We talked about our bilateral relationship between Gambia and Turkey. And then also, we discussed about that also. And those are some of the key issues that we are discussing during these hectic 6 weeks, yes.
Now, remind us, Honorable Ceesay, how did that go? Okay, we know the amendment bill passed. How to call it? The skin bleaching one? What is the state of that? As well as this Women Act and other things. Can you remind us, update what happened? This is the general, what was in the general flow?
Yeah, well, thank you very much. It's a very important question because the National Assembly, there are procedures to be followed. And most of the bills that were tabled before the National Assembly, we just passed the stage of first reading and second reading. And as the procedure required, then therefore some of these bills or most of these bills that were tabled during this session are not actually passed because they are committed to various committees for scrutiny and to make consultation. Thereafter, we will get to what we call consideration stage, and thereafter, we will get to the third reading of these various bills. But notwithstanding, other bills were alongside passed because if you look at my committee, Human Rights and Constitutional Matters, we have a bill called the Constitution Amendment Bill that was actually passed because it was tabled in the previous session and it was completed, adopted, and approved in this session. You also have a bill called the Mutual Legal Assistance Bill that was not actually completed, but it was reported back by our committee this session. The bill is so bulky to the extent that we were unable to complete it, just like the access to information bill. But they are all under consideration stage. Thereafter, we will get to the start reading. We also have this bill called the Human Rights Amendment Bill that is talking about the issue of the membership of the Human Rights Commission because they have a challenge. Looking at it, they have 5 membership in the commission, but there was this challenge about their chairmanship because the term of the membership of the Human Rights Commission used to be 1 term of 4 years. But actually, there was this necessity that they want the chairman at least to exceed 1 year as opposed to the other commissioners because they want to maintain the institutional memory. Meaning if the term of the other commissioner expired, then therefore the chairman will continue for
the new ones for 1 year.
Exactly, to at least bring up the new ones. These were some of the things that were actually passed as long as our committee is concerned. But notwithstanding, most of the bills, they were committed to various committees, but the motions as well, some of them were passed.
Okay, before we come to the specifics, Honorable Amul, Nyass, what were the things that really attracted you in this last session, before we come to the specific areas?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chan, for playing host to this particular program. And I want to seize the opportunity to thank the management of Kerr Fatou, being my first time appearing before this particular media house. Actually, here, in my own understanding, this past session, I don't think, in my own view, there was a business that I would say was the business that, to me, occupies my heart more than any other business that was presented before us.
Exactly.
Because I want to believe all what we dealt with was relevant and was as important for the betterment of the nation and the people that reside in the country. So to sum it up, I want to say, yes, it was hectic, but it was worth presenting before us to dilate on it and see how we are able to make it better for the entire people residing in the country. And in a nutshell, to see how we are able to help the government deliver the results to the Gambian people and non-Gambians residing in the country as well. So it was definitely a hectic period, but it was it.
Right, now let's go to the specifics. Mr. Marong, Honorable Marong, we start with you. Your committee, the health, you're part of the health as well, yes. Now, where do we say, what were exactly your main deliberations like? There was this 7 days, SOPE from the president, and now it is lifted. What were specifically the matters that engaged your subcommittee, whether it was a report or a study you made and then push it forward to the plenary? What were the main things that occupied your committee?
Well, thank you very much. I think that's a very important question that you are asking, because looking at our committee health, we went out, we went to this, I could remember when there was this issue of COVID-19, our committee embarked on a tour to find out what are some of the government preparedness towards the prevention of this COVID-19. Then we rolled out, we went to all the borders, seaports, airports, and we went to Amdallah, we went to Jiboro, and then at that very early stage, the preparation level of the government was very, very minimal. It was very small. But we advised them, because when we came back, we laid a report in the National Assembly, that's the plenary, with our recommendations. And the key among our recommendations was to tighten the surveillance in our borders, because we know, we all understand we have a porous borders between Gambia and Senegal and the Gambia and Guinea-Bissau. So that was a part of our recommendation, to make sure that government do something about the borders. To make sure
and whether by coincidence or design, I had reports that 3 other posts were commissioned by the immigration last week.
Well,
in Dimbaya and other places, yeah.
Well, there could be. I'm not aware. I'm not privy to the information. Yeah, we were still busy in the parliament. Yes. And then we didn't just stop there. Also, if you come to the sanatorium where we have these COVID-19 patients, when we went there, we give our recommendations. Key among those recommendations, if you go there today, you find out that the dumping site that is behind the sanatorium, we see that one as is very hazardous to the health of those living in that area. So what we told them is that let them move it if they cannot move it right now, but there should be a regular monitoring on that site to make sure that there is less smoke going towards the patient where the patients are. And then also, if you look at the sanatorium also where they are keeping these COVID-19 patients, when we went there first, we will find out that they were not that much prepared, because at that very moment then they were only having 41 beds. That's what they have. And we advised them. And then the partitioning of the hall also was not that much. It wasn't done properly. We advised them also to do those things also. And then also the security also, we told them that we need to have a security 24 hours. And then the last time when we went there to do a follow-up on our recommendations, we find out that most of our recommendations have been adhered to by the Ministry of Health. Yes.
So there wasn't much to deal with public enterprise this in the last session, was there?
Well, yes, we have a health presented a report.
Okay.
Yes, because we went out for another tour again, and we've presented a report to report back to the plenary what was our recommendation that we gave to Ministry of Health, whether they have implemented it or not, and what are some of the problems. We did that report also. We are even supposed to lay another report on Friday, but because of the tight schedule, we could not. So that report is being referred to September. Yes.
That's your next session.
Yeah, that will be our next session.
Okay, Honorable Ceesay, you mentioned there was this constitutional amendment or bill that you deliberated on, which I think is it referred for consideration, or is it has already been passed?
It's passed. It's
passed.
passed.
What does that entail?
Well, he's talking about the judges. If you get to the court system or the judicial system, you will get to realize that it has always been a challenge to have our judges being promoted or being lifted from one level to another. So the ministry deemed it fit that in the Gambia, at least there is need for this experience. Most of the people are in the system and they find it so challenging to occupy such a position. So as a result, they came up with the amendment indicating that at least if an individual who has been working in the judicial system, at least if you serve there or you have an experience of 5 years, at least one can obviously promote you to be a high court judge. This is just a simple amendment they were making. That is why it is called the Constitution Amendment Bill. And the other one I already explained, the human rights, of course. That one is talking about the chairman of the Commission of the Human Rights Commission. And so the other one we are yet to complete is about the mutual legal in criminal matters. bill. That one is
What does that entail?
Is yet to be completed. Yeah, it's talking about the criminal procedure that is to be followed when there are criminal issues in this country. It's just on the review, and that is why it was given to the committee to better make consultation to ensure that, because the document is so bulky, because it contains all the procedures as long as criminal matters are concerned. The bill is generally talking about the procedures that one has to follow when we are dealing with criminal matters.
Okay. Which is a hot cake at the moment in the Gambia. Honorable Nyass, your committee actually was very busy, I remember. The local government amendment bill was quite a bit of a, I won't call it a controversy, but then a bit tough. There were strong views opposing each other there, but finally it got passed. Well, there were talks about you initially not thinking it's a good law, and then later on you were reported to have voted for it. But then, that notwithstanding, it has now passed. What convinced you that it's a good law?
Thank you very much. Let me just try to reflect back to the first question you asked. Because I said earlier on that there were a lot of bills, motions, and the reports that were laid during the past session.
Exactly.
I want to recognize the Women Enterprise Forum that was committed to the joint committees of PEC and Women Health, Disaster, Humanitarian Relief, the list goes on. We actually laid our report last week, and the entire House agreed that for the first time a committee was assigned with the responsibility of scrutinizing a bill, come up with a report and recommendations that the entire House unanimously agreed to say it's in line.
That is also a rare occasion.
Absolutely, a very rare occasion.
But what did it entail?
Is
it not about that bill that I hear laymen saying, well, now they said if you ever divorce your wife, you will share your property?
No, it doesn't have to do with that one. It doesn't have to do with that.
Okay.
But I would definitely commend the entire membership of both committees, and alongside go further to commend our co-chairpersons. That is the Right Honorable Khalifa Salah, chairperson of PEC, and Usman Sila, who is the chairperson of the Board Committee. Because it was through their leadership styles that have given the committee members the passion, and the energy to work even on weekends. And so that what we were supposed to do according to the standing order in 13 weeks was done in 6 or 7 days.
Wow.
Now coming back to this local government amendment bill, like you rightly mentioned, initially I saw myself being labeled as somebody who opposed to the bill, and but I mean that's the beauty about respecting people to speak their mind, to say their opinions. What I said in my submission was I looked at the bill, and then I looked at the manner in which people came to the parliament, and in my submission I made mention that there are few individuals in that parliament, regardless of which political party they join, regardless of the manner in which they contest elections, they will always be voted because they have the legacy.
So you were trying to say that there were people who did not necessarily dependent on their party's popularity.
Exactly.
They were themselves
indeed
credible enough to get elected.
Absolutely. And I went forward to say people like me and others will have to lean on a party to qualify to come to the parliament. So I saw it as unfair to use a political party as a springboard. But again, being cognizant of the fact that we stood there to remove section 91(1)(d) of the 1997 Constitution, which allows us to be at liberty when we are at the parliament without being dictated, without fear of being
stepping on the toes of the interests of your party.
Absolutely. So I said, who are we not to also allow the area councillors who are also elected to be at liberty, to know that each time they are at councils, their deliberations should always be focused on national interest. And I concluded to say, I will make my position clear when the right time comes. This is why when it came to voting, I have to give my support for the bill to pass. Because again, I have been in contact with a lot of councils, and they have issues that they want to see to be part of the Local Government Act. Some issues that are being brought to the Local Government Act, they are recommending for the repeal of some of those laws that
to make them
Local Government
independent.
Act. Yeah. So right now, as I even speak, I'm in consultation with some of the councils. They are contacting me to say, what can we do now? Because we have done our submission more than a year ago. Can't we sit and look at it holistically and see the need for us to have an amendment to the Local Government Act? Okay. So that consultation is going on. But again, the bottom line is, I wouldn't be selfish to see myself being liberated, to see myself being empowered to do my work in accordance with the Constitution, Section 112 of the Constitution. Then who am I to be a barrier to councillors to also be at liberty to perform their functions as expected? Okay. So it was kind of maybe the person that was the way he or she analyzed it, and I respect his opinion. But that was not my position.
Good. Maybe the problem was the timing, perhaps, that gave it a political color or description. You know, there is this imbroglio between the UDP and their chairman in Brikama, and people were saying that, the sponsor of the bill, maybe a sympathizer of the chairman, or somebody he shared the same political leanings with, wanted a bill that will actually, support the chairman's intention to stay in power so that he can have a legal background, which of course some people said may not even happen because the law, even if it comes into effect, may not have effects as to what happened in the past. But you will agree the timing really made it a big political hotcake.
Absolutely, absolutely, Mr. Chairman. That one we cannot dispute. The timing, if anybody connects it and see it as political, I wouldn't dispute it. Looking at the developments on the ground, as for the Brikama Area Council and certain councils, not even limited to Brikama Area Council, or even at the Area Council. So if anybody is connecting it to politics, I will not dispute.
You'll be excused for doing that.
I will not dispute it because the timing was not the right time.
And also it raised this issue. On the whole, there was always an opportunity for any member to come with a private bill, and that had never happened. So now I'm sure this has opened a floodgate.
Indeed, it has opened a floodgate, and I can tell you, this parliament is, I think we are in the third year, and this is the second private members bill that we have passed. And the rest assured, before the end of our 5th year, you will see a lot of private members bill, because in terms of bringing private members bill, this parliament will make a difference. That's what I can do.
Mr. Marong, you may probably have seen yourself in this controversy surrounding the local government bill. You know, some people would say, of course, when it was amended, because there was a similar bottleneck for National Assembly members when you came into office, Parliament amended that. That's why people like you can now be independent in the National Assembly without having, to obey or agree totally with the party that sponsored you. Why do you think? You, of course, voted to pass the bill. Why do you think it was a good law?
Well, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I believe...
You want for Sonko, so the chairman everywhere to be as free as yourself?
Well, not only for Sonko per se. This wasn't done to favor Sirfo. We all know the issue of Sirfo and the party, that's UDP. And then we know that, the law cannot be retroactive.
Exactly.
So this is the point that I want people to understand.
So that is anybody who thinks that it was targeted
no, it wasn't
to help Sirfo should know that actually, in fact, the law may not affect Sirfo's case.
Exactly.
So it cannot be true that it came up just to try to save Sirfo.
That's what I want people to. Yes, maybe the issue of Sirfo might have triggered for us to go back to the local government. Because what happened in this 2015, this was done. The amendment was done in 2015. As I said earlier on, it wasn't in the initial the act itself, the parent act of
2002.
Yes, of local government. It was brought in 2015, and what they were then doing was that they wanted to harmonize the 1997 Constitution and the Local Government Act. So then we amended the 1997 that's the section 911D. Also, we want to amend this local government, so asked to harmonize the local government and the 1997 Constitution back. But some people see it as we are trying to do a favor for Sirfo Sonko. The timing. What I said here last time, if you could remember, National Assembly, when we came to Parliament back in 2017, a similar thing was done. We amended upper age limit. Then the vice president, Mrs. Madam Tambajang, was the vice president. I cannot even. She was not even a vice president because she didn't swear in it. Okay, yeah. But that section was amended, and that give her the leverage. That's
on orders of her
age categories. Yes, the likes of Hussein Udabo, Khalifa, and the co. All right, to be qualified to contest as a presidential. So if you talked about the timing, this is what I always tell people. Yes, it happened at that time, and we all support it. Yeah. All right, but this thing I didn't see. Thank God that it passed. Yeah. Though it was very hectic, and then the opposite side, they make it very, very, very difficult for us. And but that's the beauty of Parliament. Yeah. You know, despite the fact that they know that here they don't have any case to argue, but sometimes we will come to the Parliament and then they come with 1, 2, 3 to say that yes, you haven't met.
You see an emergence of because that's what people read through these things. Say, oh, probably there's an emergence now of political leanings as we go to the general elections next year. Or do you think this is just one parliamentary affair when where a certain number of people agree, they may disagree, the same people may disagree over other matters?
No, it happened. That's how Parliament works. Yeah. You might come with an issue today, I agree with you. Tomorrow you come with something and then I will disagree. That's how Parliament works.
So you don't agree with the fact that the trend of the voting suggests a political alliance, next year?
No, not anyway, not at all.
All right.
Not at all.
Honorable Ceesay, you, I'm not surprised you voted against the bill. I'm the proponents of, people who are advocating that the party's interests should be respected. They said, well, it's not fair that the party will identify you from among many contestants, sponsor your candidates, campaign for you, and once you get elected, you say, well, there's a law here, I'm now my boss. So if Mr. Barrow or Mr. Kanda or Fabakar Tombo now give me some money or some enticement, and I'll just switch over to him, and then I can free to do that and stay put here until the next 5 years. So they said this is not fair. That's people who really see the other point of view as opposed to Honorable Nyass and Marong. Was that your thinking?
Yes, well, I have a different view with them, and that's about democracy.
About the
others, of course, depending on the points that you are going to submit before the table, like I usually said. To debate on a particular subject, you don't have to force me to accept whatever that you have to bring to me. But all that you need to do is to convince me to accept what you are saying. And in any way, I tried everything possible, but I was not definitely convinced. And the reason representation is about the people you represent. It's about consultation. It's about the wisdom and the mind of the people. The belief and the ideas of the people that you represent. That's the belief I have. And obviously, when the bill was introduced before the National Assembly, the first thing that I did, I have to make my consultation. And making consultation within my area, the councillors were very prominent and stakeholders as long as the bill is concerned. Exactly. Because they are the ones affected as long as the bill is concerned. And after having consultation, after having dialogue and engagement with them regarding the bill, so obviously they were not in agreement and they were never in support of this bill. And in as much as I am representing them according to them, then if my vote is to be casted, then I have to vote no. This is about representation.
About councillors who didn't agree with you, they are the people, councillors of the UDP or the GDC perhaps?
Well, it depends. Because there are other councillors in other parts of the country who are not even in agreement with this. Because I believe
and
most
they are not necessarily GDC or UDP.
Yes, exactly. It depends on the area you are representing. That is why when I was making my submission, I said, I have no intention to predict what is happening in other areas. And that is why there is this demarcation, individual to represent a particular group of individuals depending on the geographical location. And they can better speak for their people. But here the reason is this. A political party, there is nothing depriving you to be an independent candidate. Yes. There is nothing depriving you to be your own as long as politics is concerned, especially seats like even presidency. Yes, you can be an independent candidate. Yes. So if you believe that you don't have the strong base, you don't have the support, you don't have the political know-how in order to convince the people within your area to support you on an independent ticket. So obviously you force your way, you try everything to convince a political party to join a political party. The party you are in, they did everything possible. They supported you, they financed you, they did everything possible to ensure that you secure that seat you are handling now. Because most of us today who are handling these positions, honestly, whether we accept it or not, is because of a political party, or is because of the ticket of that political party, with their support, with their backing, with the strong base that they have within the area. That is why most of us, we won the election. And that's the reality. So I am saying, if a political party can do such, there is need for you, if you can no longer support that political party, you resign. Me, I would rather resign if I no longer want to support a political party, to resign from that political party than waiting that political party to expel me.
Good
that
point.
I cannot just accept.
Honorable, does he make sense when he says that if at all you know you can win an election on your own accord, why didn't you offer yourself as independent candidate in the first place? Well, you wait until you were elected on the party caller, and then you are allowed to go to do whatever you like. President Jammeh, for example, when he amended this person, he was thinking along those lines. He told her, well, I cannot groom you, make you everything, and tomorrow you abandon me. So perhaps Jammeh was right on that occasion. Why did you agree with the law now?
Well, like I said...
Or even at the time you didn't agree with it?
Like I said earlier on, I strongly believe that political parties invest a lot for candidates to win elections. And political parties contribute a lot for candidates to win elections.
Let me ask you, before you go to this, I will ask Mr. Barrow this question, but in your thinking, in your honest opinion, if these National Assembly members or Saikou Sonko resigns now, right, because they don't agree with the party that sponsored them, do you think they have any chance of winning the by-election?
Who have any chance of winning the by-election?
Yes, Honorable Marong or Saikou Sonko. At the moment, yes.
Say for instance, if Honorable the chairman, Saikou Sonko, resigned from his position,
yes,
whether he have any chances of winning?
Yeah, whether the right way to test his popularity wouldn't have been that option, wouldn't that be in order?
It's quite in order. If you listen to my response to the question, I made mention that it is grossly unfair to political parties for them to groom you up, help you win elections, and the next moment you put them aside. I said it in my submission.
Exactly.
But what I said further to that is, we as a National Assembly did change the law. That is Section 911D.
Yeah, to shoot ourselves.
Exactly, to shoot ourselves.
Why don't we have it?
So why can't we
have for the
also have it for others?
Good
So we are also elected in the same manner we are elected.
Good point. Good
Right?
point. Yes.
But the law, honestly, if not abused, is a law that is there to regulate the operations and behaviors of elected people to positions that they are supposed to serve. So it's quite clear that that is what the law is trying to dictate. Because I remember in the submission of some of the veterans in the parliament, they made quotations to what used to happen during the first regime, where cross-carpet was the order of the day.
Yes.
So this law was there to regulate cross-carpet.
I remember.
So, but I am a strong believer that you cannot do that to a party that brought you to where you are. That's my firm conviction. Because my consent cannot give me to betray the party that took me to the party. I can never do it. I can never do it.
Mr. Cham, you see this.
I was going to come to Mr. Marong. Mr. Marong, okay, let's exhaust this local government bill now. Going forward, of course, we know now that, like Honorable Nyass said, it became political, but people thought that it was targeting the Brikama current crisis, which you have clarified is not. But going forward now, do you think political parties may not have problems, or they may put in rigorous regulations that will find difficult for people to get party sponsorship, because they will have to first check whether you are going to be trustworthy or etc. So you think it will not help? It will not tie the hands of political parties just to leave the process of primaries open like that?
Well, I think, Mr. Sham, if it does happen, it's normal. The political party need to put their house in order in terms of selection or whatsoever. There is nothing wrong with that one also. But what happened with this bill is that we've seen in this country where some political parties are abusing these laws. All right? And we think that that is not fair. All right? Sometimes what they will argue on, we're going to expel you from our party, is just based on something that I cannot just accept. That means that people are abusing this law. That's what we are trying to put across.
One clear example, if you can draw a lesson from, in the last assembly, was it the last parliament, when Honorable Cherno Cham of Nyomi, is it Nyomi or Panyomi or Lower Nyomi, from Bereding anyway? One of the Nyomis. Was supposed to have criticized the operations of the ferries because he's from Nyomi and he represents ferries. That was the interest of Nyomi people.
Exactly.
When he raised that in parliament, it was seen to be criticizing the government. And people allege that that must have led to his expulsion from the APRC. Are you saying that that kind of situation is what this law is trying to prevent?
Exactly. This is what the law. That's what this law is trying to prevent us from happening. Because we see Section 911D when we were debating in the Parliament. This is exactly what we are saying. We said now we have the opportunity to debate in the Parliament. Say what you think is true. Is it's going to move the country. Without fear or favor, or without looking at the state that yes, this is my party interest. But you will say this is the national interest. If the national interest is not in line with the party interest, so let it be. That is it.
I differ with him, Honorable Mr. Cham. You see, political parties constitute the people of this country. And people who are within the National Assembly are from various political parties. There is no political party in this country that you will approach and they will tell you a different agenda, different from developing this country.
Okay, everybody agrees.
So I don't hold the view that a political party out there will have a different agenda that is definitely contradicting the development of this country. And the people who are in those political parties are the one in the National Assembly. Him who is talking, he is from a political party. And today, the belief, up to now, despite he is not in agreement with that political party, he will still tell you the agenda of that political party is to move this country forward. Mr. Cham, the harmonization that they are talking about, ask them. Maybe they can better explain. There is nothing that we are harmonizing here. The Local Government Act, as amended now, the electorate, they have the mandate to recall their MPs or their councillors. But ask them if that is the case for the National Assembly members. So what are you harmonizing? If you are harmonizing, meaning you are moving things in the right direction. And that is not the case. The National Assembly members, we amended Section 911D. But now we are as free as anything. When our electors are there waiting, whether we are performing well, whether we are doing things good or not, then they cannot recall us.
Until the next election.
Are we harmonizing something here?
I think, Mr. Cham, this is where the representative come in. This is why we're talking about the private member bill. The way that this honorable member came with this local government amendment bill. Honorable Ceesay have the same right to come with a private member bill to amend this recall act. So let's just stop saying that.
No, excuse me, Mr. Cham, excuse me.
Let's honorable Nyass.
As I rightly mentioned, with the area councillors, if you talk about harmonization, harmonization is not 50-50.
Exactly.
What exists at the councils doesn't exist at the parliament. But again, let me put it to him, but let him not be surprised by our next session for him to see a private member's bill that is going to address how a sitting MP can be reformed.
Exactly.
During that process, I am in the firm belief that if we meant to harmonize things, I don't
and
see
to be
any
accountable to the people.
Exactly, to be accountable to the people. I don't see any of us who will object to that bill. I think we will even have a very smooth passage as opposed to all the other private members that came before us.
Exactly.
I can assure you that work is in progress. It may be during the next session, September or December.
Fantastic.
But the assurance I can give is that it will not go beyond this year without a private members will come in to address how your electorates can be called. We are talking about transparency. We are talking about being accountable to the people. So it cannot just be something that you will address haphazardly. It has to be addressed in totality so that our electorates are fully informed and fully aware of how we could be recalled. Because we are there to serve their interests. We are their representatives. So we should be seen delivering the results.
Fantastic. Now, this matter is exhausted. We move on. That is to all three of you, and particularly your local government act. The Electoral Commission has just issued a calendar, and you guys must have now been familiar with the calendar. It says voter registrations from January to February next year, and then referendum in June, diaspora registration, presidential elections. Yes. So, as a stakeholder belonging to a political party, or you yourself as a politician, what was your first impression, or objections if there is any, or anxieties or worries if there is any?
Yeah, actually, Mr. Cham, like you rightly mentioned, the electoral calendar is out.
Yeah.
We're looking at it, try to make our own analysis, try to digest and understand whether the electoral calendar can actually be implemented as per what IEC is saying.
Exactly.
You know, and again, being the chairperson of this particular select committee,
exactly,
and the IEC falls under our purview.
Your purview, yeah.
So I, as an individual, have certain reservations as per the electoral calendar, and I'm trying to pinpoint them out. It's because we're starting recess by next month, which is August.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have implored on the office of the clerk to see how we are able to invite the IEC to appear before us, based on what they have presented to the nation, for us to scrutinize and come up with our observations and be convinced beyond reasonable doubt that yes, the calendar is something which is implementable or not. But notwithstanding, if our session in September is going to start, let's say in the middle of September, we will still have room to invite the IEC. If it is going to start early September, then immediately we finish, we will have to engage the IEC.
That suggests you might have personally viewed or observed something.
Absolutely, I have my own observations and my own reservations, and I want to believe that members of the committee may equally have their observations and their reservations. So we cannot just let it lie the way it is without us engaging the IEC, for IEC to come and clear our doubts and our reservations before we report to the plenary that based on our engagements with IEC, this is what they have presented, and this is our observations, here are our recommendations, and it will, generate views from all other members. But this is something that we really want to do in the soonest possible time.
And this is important because they are saying that those elections will be based on the existing laws, and others might change. And who are the people who are going to change?
This is it. This is it. So that is why I said, as a select committee, we think there are a lot of issues that we need, that will warrant us to engage the IEC so that we are sure that what they said is practicable or is not practicable, and as a result, what needs to be amended.
Honorable Ceesay?
Yeah, like he was saying, this is a requirement. As long as their act is concerned, they have to come up with it based on the existing laws. And if I could understand what they mean by some of these things might change along the way, there is this final draft constitution, and I could remember our committee even engaging them, and their submission was before they can do and make things very concrete, the final draft constitution has to be approved, and whatsoever that is approved within that constitution that is affecting them, that will reflect the manner and the way in which they are going to frame what is coming next. But as long as it's a requirement, they must come up with this. But like he said, they are the committee members. It is unfortunate that I am not part of the committee, but that does not affect any National Assembly member. If you have any issue regarding what they have driven out to the general public, you go and submit it to the committee that is concerned, or they can even copy you to cooperate with them as long as the release is concerned. And that we are waiting for the committee, whatever submission that they bring before the plenary. Did
you personally observe things that you find problems with?
Well, I found certain things, of course, that are not actually, I don't think they...
For example, the diaspora said it's not fair.
That is what exactly...
They are only going to be registered after the referendum.
Yeah, exactly. So, to me, the referendum is very important, and the threshold is very critical, because you're talking of 50% turnout, 75% yes. That is very critical. So, I will have expect we issue the registration or the voters before the referendum, because if not, the constitution might not be passed on the basis of this lack of voters cards that we are having in this country.
And Honorable Marong?
Well, thank you very much. As the Honorable Nyass said, he is the one heading that committee. Yes, we do have our observations, but as I is clearly mentioned, we can say it's a draft. It's not a final version yet.
Well, if they have their way, then that's what they want to do.
Yeah, but you say if they have their way. What will they have their way? That's what we have.
Where do you think you might stop them?
Well, the committee will engage them based on our observations that we make, and then we'll invite them. They will invite them for meeting. We'll engage them.
So can we expect that a revision in some of these things?
Well, as of now, what I can tell you, as it stands now, is a draft.
For example, you people need to consider budget for. Oh, they've already got their votes, isn't it? But isn't that going to be enough for you to conduct all this exercise within this period?
So you see, that's important. Yeah. That's why it's a draft. We are going to look at it. So as it stands now, it's a draft. It's not a final version. So what is a draft? We will look at it.
Okay. Now let's before we end this session, we reflecting on this past session of the National Assembly now. How far now do you think now we are to in implementing and removing bad laws and introducing new laws that will make our democratic system, to be the standard that they would say, the agenda that the people wanted in the new dispensation?
Well, thank you. If you looked at during our previous session that we just completed, you look at it, we have amended some laws. And if you look at the area of the women, let's say Women Amendment Act, we are looking at that one to see that we've started some of the amendment in those areas. Key among them, you talk about skin bleaching here.
Yeah,
because I believe personally that you cannot enforce law on people. When you talk about skin bleaching, you cannot say that if you bleach your skin, you're going to go to court and you're going to be charged.
The background is the government want that law repealed.
Yes, they want it repealed. It is already there, but now they want it repealed.
They want it repealed.
Yes, that's what they want.
But you people, or some of you, in the first reading or second reading, whatever, disagreed and said, well, it should stay. Yes. But the government is saying, well, if it stays, and you are now accusing us of not implementing it. Now, if we are supposed to really enforce it, that means we're going to arrest everybody. Virtually everybody is doing it.
Exactly. Yeah, so this is why I believe that, these laws you cannot enforce. It's on people because it's skin bleaching. We know that it's there, it's been existing. So what is the essence of leaving it there? The best you can do is to repeal it, and that's what we are trying to do. Yes, we have some MPs that say that we should maintain it. We are, let us not repeal it, because some people went to the extent saying that it's against our religion. But we have to let's understand when we are making law, there is some certain things that you looked at. Yes, we know we all come from a religious background. You are either a Christians or you are either a Muslims. But also, you cannot enforce such laws on people, telling them if you bleach your skin, this is what is going to happen. I see that one.
So you think it's a question of health matter, personal health, because the argument has been, the main argument is it is harmful for the body, for the body. And the government has a role to play and protect the people from even inflicting in fact, harming themselves by their own, through their own hands. Yeah. The government has a role to play. So, Mr. Ceesay, the government not right? Let's repeal this.
Yeah, I am in total agreement with you. You see, the only reason or justification that they are giving, as long as this amendment is concerned or this repealing is concerned, is their right and to meet international obligation. And I make it very clear in my submission. These are rights of individuals. That's what they are claiming. And they should be free to do what they want. This is what exactly you are saying. We know that in this country, every individual, you have certain rights to exercise. But notwithstanding with those rights, there are restrictions guiding those rights. The way and the manner in which you are going to do it. Like I said earlier, in my submission, I said there are laws in this country, people are still insisting that is their right and they want to practice such things, like the FGM. There is a law in existence. But people who are practicing this, they are still insisting that is their right, they want to practice it, but the government...
But there have been prosecutions.
Exactly. Yes, I agree. So I am saying if that is their right and they are in one way or the other trying to exercise that, the only reason and the only object attached to it is about their health implication. Yes. That's what the government is fear of. Yes. So the same thing happens to the skin bleaching. There are a lot of health implications attached to it, whether you accept or not. Despite we are not health experts. And you talk of other laws like the Public Order Act. These are rights of individuals, right to demonstrate. But there are certain things that are restricting individuals just to get up here and go and demonstrate. These are things that people are facing in this country.
In other words, what you are saying is that if they would not repeal the FGM Act. Why are they repealing this?
Exactly, and that was my conclusion. I told them, why do we have to single out this one? What if you are fear as a minister?
If the argument is health.
Yes, health.
Both have health implications.
Health
Why do you choose to
So
pass on this one and leave this one?
And that was my argument. And you know what? Mr. Jab, you know what? I was saying this. If you are a minister or you are the enforcing authority, maybe your wife is bleaching, and you cannot arrest your wife for that. You see, I told them, if the president's wife is bleaching, let her be arrested. If the minister's wife is bleaching, let her be arrested. If my wife as an MP is bleaching, let her be arrested. It's a law, it's a law. And nobody is above the law. What next? Let's implement the law.
Okay, so,
yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
That was a rather tense moment in the assembly.
Yeah,
what was your position?
It has been actually. I maintain the same position with my neighbor because I sit next to him at the chamber. And you know, sometimes this is why when I hear people say bad laws, it makes me think twice, because I tend to reflect how bad is the law, because I believe any law that have been passed at Parliament, it's there to protect something. Because now I made the connections of the Skin Bleaching Act, or no, in fact it's a decree we were made to understand,
exactly.
1995 decree. But again, I tried to connect it to the anti-littering bill, which was a law that was passed.
Exactly.
And then you have the ban on plastics.
Yeah, bags.
This was a law that was enacted by the Parliament
and
ascended to by the President. But look at what is happening nowadays. It all have to do with the impression that was given to the people. Because when there was a change of government, the impression from the current government given to the citizenry was that it was an executive directive. And anything that have to do with an executive directive, we have to put it aside. Not being cognizant of the fact that even whereas it was an executive directive, it has a positive impact on the lives of the people. So this is something that should have been maintained. This is something that should have been nurtured and enforced. Today, the government want to get rid of it, they cannot. It's like there was hoarding. People were keeping these plastic bags, waiting for a change of government. Immediately it happened, you can see in all corners of the country plastic bags. And we all know how hazardous these plastic bags are. We all know that this anti-littering bill was all trying to promote our environmental cleanliness, how friendly we can be to the environment. Connecting it to the skin bleaching, we have a role to play. And that is everybody in this country have a role to play in educating our sisters, our aunts, our mothers, our grandmothers. They should be proud of our color. This is a color that is unique. That is how I see it. So we should all nurture it. We should all be proud of it. We should even make people, the West for that matter, try to see how they can change their skin to get that. Look at these Westerners when they are coming here during the tourist season. They have a special cream that they say when they apply, it does not burn their skin. So who are they to jealously guide their skin, and we say no, we should allow our own sisters, our own aunts, our mothers to follow, you know, the way they go about life. I don't think it's fair.
So
that is why,
in other words, you want the law
I want the law stay, and we do we take our responsibility. That is sensitizing our own sisters, our own aunts and our mothers to let them know that they should be proud of the skin that they have, because it's a skin for me that is unique. So I see no reason why I should support the repealing of the bill.
Enforcing it.
Mr. Chan, the enforcement is another level. The enforcement is another level. But what I'm saying here is, if we take our collective responsibility by raising the awareness of our people, letting them know that they should be proud of the skin that they have, the enforcement may not even happen. Because we will see people abandon it.
Good idea.
You know,
once they really understand and accept.
Exactly. Because others are doing it, they don't know the health implications applied to it.
I think in this, I support the repealing of the skin bleaching 100%. Because one thing that I believe is that when this was passed, was there any consultation with those that is affected? People talk about the chemicals that are imported in the country that the women are using. For me, what I believe is that I am a National Assembly member. Let me go to the radio stations, this kind of platform, sensitize people. What will be the effect of applying those chemicals, rather than imposing something on them that will affect them in the future? Because, for instance, let me give you this example. Who would you just identify and say that this X is bleaching, and then this one is not bleaching? Did you have all those mechanisms in place? No, it's important. If not, we may have these laws, but you will not be able to implement it. It is there.
But what? Implementation is not your area.
No, but
area is to make laws. And again, to identify who is bleaching and who is not bleaching.
But to do a consultation before you make a law. It's important to go for a better consultation before you make a law.
What I'm saying here is, at the time you go to the radio or whatever media to inform the people, the damage will have already occurred.
No,
so
but
here we are talking of the preventive means.
No, I think the best preventive means is to go and talk to people about.
That's what I'm saying. When will you do that?
What I'm trying to say is that once you leave the law there, once you remove the law, you have now removed all the possible ways of preventing people from it. So, in other words, you give everybody a free hand to do. He said that would be more difficult to censorize. It will be much easier for you to make it unlawful. They know that I can get.
Yeah.
So if that is really how do they call it, deterrent law in place, then people will get. You will not have to go and censorize the people that much in the first place, because they would have known this is criminal. Like if somebody wants to go and steal now, he already knows that the penalty is this.
You see, Mr. Cham, you see, honestly speaking, individuals are in this country who are bleaching. They don't know the health implication attached to it. If suppose that awareness is created, wallahi, others will not do it. That's one. Two, others are in this country who are bleaching. They don't know the existence of this law. They don't know. They don't know. And if suppose they know, they will stop doing it.
No,
so
even
why
if they
do we want to
know,
repeal
but they
this?
have not seen it being effectively enforced.
Yes, it's because the implementation is not there. That is why people continue practicing doing it.
No, Mr. Cham, I think we have to be careful.
Yeah.
Who will you just meet on the road and say that you are bleaching?
They don't have experts.
No, sometimes it's
one thing you should understand, that is not how it works. Because the enforcement body, they also have procedures of enforcing laws. They will not just get up and start grabbing people.
No.
Like that. No. But the bottom line is, let us try in as much as possible to promote our skin.
Yeah, you can do that one in a very,
so
very...
But the law has to do it.
The law has to stay. But you cannot do that one.
No.
By coming up with a skin bleaching.
By coming up with what?
We know this skin bleaching that we're talking about.
Yes.
No, I think the best thing that we can do as a lawmakers is to repeal this from our law.
I don't agree with you.
And this law will not be passed. This law.
Well, anyway, this law will not be passed. We are going to vote for it.
This law will not be passed.
He's not married yet, so I don't know.
No.
This law will put it in the West.
It will be passed.
No, it will put it in the West.
No, before then I will able to have it will be passed.
I think the parliamentary debate has already started here in the studio. But he's not yet married, so you never know.
Yes, I said let my wife be arrested if my wife is found bleaching.
So I don't have a wife, so let my wife.
Let my wife be arrested. That's what I'm saying. Yes, the law has to be implemented.
Mr. Cham, on a more serious note, it's like I'm seeing signals coming that our time is up.
Okay. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, what I want to say here is it has to do with COVID-19.
Okay.
I want the entire Gambian populace, particularly those following up in this program, and who may follow it up in other media houses, to take it with seriousness.
Okay.
I have been a strong advocate for people to adapt the WHO standards. Although here and there, I know when I'm talking, those who are following me in Parliament will say it's the first time we're seeing him with a face mask. And yes, you are absolutely right that during the session I've not been using the face mask. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I was downplaying with the existence of COVID-19.
Thank you.
It's here, and it's through concerted efforts, Gambia as a country, we will be able to escape the damage it is causing other countries. So I advise everybody to follow the WHO set standards.
Very quickly, especially particularly you are the one in that committee. What will be your last one?
And then he is also in that committee.
Absolutely.
So I actually said it's right. COVID-19 is real. And we have seen recently the cases that are just emerging. So I think we all need to take this seriously.
Yeah, we hold the same view. We are not debating whether this is real or not. It is in existence, it is real, it is in this country. And the only thing that we can do, you have to help yourself first. Before the nose out there will help you. And helping yourself is to observe the measures that are in place to prevent oneself. If not, then you might put yourself in a very great danger.
Exactly. So said, Honorable Omar Ceesay from Nyamina East, thank you very much, and Saikou Marong of Latrikunda Sabiji and the Honorable Musa Amul Nyass of Foji Councillor. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for sharing and continuing to be honorable each time we call on you. So we are very grateful here on the brunch to have all the three of you to talk about national matters you have dealt with in the Assembly and will deal with later in the next session. All right, we still stay with COVID matters because our reporter Buba Gajigo had been on the streets and he's been asking people on the topic of the importance of wearing masks. So let's follow that.
Thank you very much for having me, Mr. Cham, once again on the brunch program. Today I am at the Serekunda market to sound the opinions of people here, Gambians and non-Gambians, about the mask. We understand that it is compulsory in the Gambia now to wear a face mask. Let's go inside the market and sound their opinions. Yow support nga pour mask mu nek compulsory Gambia fi?
Waaw support naa ko parce que loo gis rek wérgu yaram mooy force. Waaw loo gis rek wérgu yaram bi mooy force. So wérgu yaram after wérgu yaram su amul dara du mun a dem. So man support naa ko definitely. Waaw bëgg naa ko mu dem parce que nit ñi suñu amee wérgu yaram di nga gis ne di nga mun a def lu nekk. Waaye su amul wérgu yaram without wérgu yaram doo mun a def du dara. Waaw dëgg la moom li ñuy def li is good. Man ànd naa si bu baax. Waaw.
Adala because fantankandole mu ala fango ya fole akoy fantankange tanka ate fango ko janni balo na fango ya karan yalo jomalam alati so nyimu kula te mi yalon ko mu be nyantake andu kula fana mu yalon ko ajita dunia bele kon me yalon ko ke bante dindinte musunte kente amam president jube amam minister jube amam police jube amam civilian jube nyimbu pour mo belem ni aje ko ngam fan tanka anyante ka lo nyama to nya ala kitira men naka kele bara ko le fan tanka fan because mbe nyama den sita ko longoto le ngam fan fay ko longoto ba ni te ko ngata ngam fan fay ko longoto mba fala le mbang munan nan ko mbang malla fi falale o do ngam fan tanka ala ndema
yeah bahana torop because of pour ñun la ande kanga nit kay mom so dege da ngay def li nga def leneen da nga am wer bu yaram bi mo ñeka lepp so lii moom nekku na de comme government bi su ko waxee ñun dañ ko war a apprécier ñu def ko because yëpp pour ñun la nekku pour gars yi de ni soo dangay dem nga liggéey wala dangay dem feneen wala bëgg nga leneen ak leneen da nga am weer bu yaram bi moo njëkk a lépp.
masque bi kay ngay dem war a di porte comme feebar bi am na ngay mu ne feebar bi am na ñu ñaani rek yàlla ñu jeexal feebar bi loolu rek moo mën a jàppale nu parce que affaire bi su bare ñu ñoo war a soona affaire bi su fekkee jeex na ñu ñoo war a am jàmm moo tax ndik saa su déggee feebar nga ne lii mooy garab bi feebar bi toppa ko moo jàmm bi ma loolu la xamee si loolu.
waaw lu war a am la loolu lu war a am la parce que àdduna bi yëpp ñu ngi jooy coronavirus bi mu ngi taxaw liggéey yëpp kon nag force la pour ñu masque face mask man ànd naa si trop.
Yeah, I'm support of the mask because you see the turnout of the COVID-19 is real at this moment because nobody can tell you that there's no COVID-19. Whilst people are saying there's no COVID, there's a COVID-19 that is possible also at this moment. I'm support of the mask at this moment for me.
Sakunda kamaski compulsory Gambia.
Yes, I support back because nient ataral fango. Masakunda ataral ndol fango la meo Talme Ahmed Ben Suda. Wolo follow ni introduce into the market. Kong maxol use so bring masakunda na raka sembentu ya kan wentol kontan back adung ay maxo men dundi marso kon sai siata back because I may launch nu ananda tala 50,000 max but I men din tole ya bring somanda temfong ba supply kan beral nyabe maxola alben yembe je kan Talbe Ahmed Ben Suda wala di marché do mo lanka di le free barante mo men be kana marché ko non dol supply nol bar momo yalon ko nibe firo la marché ko no jang mbaka ka make sure that you have your mark
ya support le pour Mansakunda ya sam mole wala pour mole ya sang ifanwe
nying Mansakunda diwa madi wo ite ni sasa no sang kana mun nyindo jube ifango jube ya ke wala kamala ndete jube la
bo xam nga government bi tamit du mëna def yépp waaw gis nga di nga gis ne yëpp duñ ko mën a def parce que government bi luñ fees dafa bari so dañuy def loolu ak loolu so da nga gis ne léegi ay masque jënd ay $50 ay 25 yi nii lii ñun tam mën nañ ko def waaw loolu def dara so waaye dafay baax rek dimbale la rek waaw government bi du mën a def yëpp lu ñu war a def li dafa bari waaw yeneen i tamit ñun tamit ñoo war a sacrifice defal suñ boppa waaw nga gis ne dëkk bi mun a neex parce que suñu amee jàmm am wérgu yaram am nañ lu nekk waaw.
right because lii moom government bi suñ ko joxee baax na trop waaye suñ ko joxutee tamit lii moom doomi aadama sa bakkel moo ëppa $25 wala $50 yaa ngi dégg government bi daal am na ñoo xam ne daal dafa naxari si gaay waaye su fekkente ne tamit jox nañ ko baax na suñ ko joxutee tamit yow tamit pour nga génne $50 wala 75 wala 25 nga jëndal ko sa bopp loolu du la yaaxal dara.
fu ñu toll nii léegi waruñ xaar nguur gi parce que affaire dafa métti fépp su nguur gi ak citoyen yëpp la métti kon nag su nguur gi joxe war nañ ko def su nguur gi joxe tamit ñi population bi war nañu jël daal suñu matuwaay ñu def ko waruñ xaar nguur gi daal.
Yeah, the government has made a little bit mistake. While you said that everybody have to put masks on this day, they have to provide masks for the people. Because so many people cannot buy these masks. They have to know, they have to budget everything and bring even a lot of masks and markets and give it to them. But the government, they don't give for masks. People are going to buy masks. So then what to stand up for the government? Then the government have to help the people then so that the people can help themselves. But if the government is not helping the people, how can the people can help themselves? So yeah, that is, I'm not supportive of that. The government did not give them masks. The government have to give the masks, not the people have to buy masks.
Man sekundata nyimbe kenola. Bari ifanensi makoro kenole men ya lonko ma sotono kadila. Bari ntole nga support la kay mak shock because ni muntal fanga prevention ol. Bari ka fanga mak show me use prevention o membe ja be kelen tol fanga ko kambara manke man sekunda fanga. Yo to ntole ni support la pour nga mak show use adun tol fana be yamar lo kala momola mo ba beta mo jama kono public.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cham. Back to you in the studio. This is all what I have for you. My name is Buba Gajigo, Kerr Fatou in Serekunda Market. Thank you very much for having me, Mr. Cham, once again on the Brunch program. Today,
Right, welcome back to the Brunch on Kerr Fatou. Well, after those parliamentary matters, I almost call it a parliamentary debate actually, right in the studio, we are now turning sports and football in particular. Now, everybody around the world and of course here in the Gambia have been following the country as it mourns the demise of the late legendary player Alhaji Biri Biri. Biri, of course, as it has been said, has always been the ambassador of soccer when it comes to the Gambia. Now, continuing our tributes, I brought in two gentlemen into the studio who actually played with Biri and somebody who played even before Biri in the national team and have been following his career as well as football in the country at the time when Biri was at his peak. And let me not hesitate to introduce Musa Njai, a former Real Ace and national team player, and George Gomez. George was both an athlete and a national team player for football, that is, back in the days, even Biri and even before Biri and others came into the scene. Musa Njai, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cham.
Let me begin by extending condolences, because why I do this is that you people actually knew Biri at a very, very early stage in his career and even played alongside him. How do you remember Biri the player, even before all the hype came to surround him?
Well, thank you very much, Lamin. In addition to being a former teammate of Biri, we also related.
Oh,
Biri,
really? That's right.
As a cousin.
Yeah, as the Mandinkas would say, relation is lost, but surname has brought it. So you are both Njai.
Absolutely, absolutely, very close, closely related. And Biri actually, I knew Biri for a long period of time in terms of playing when Biri was playing for Crab Island School by the time I was in primary school. And then it continued all the way to the National League. In fact, Biri was very, very close to me when I was playing for Winley Primary School. That's when Biri started trying to recruit me to White Phantoms. When I finished primary school, I went to St. Augustine's and played for St. Augustine's, and Biri, by that time, very close to our family, especially my brother, Free Njai, who was a member of the White Phantoms football club. So in essence, Biri really followed my career and really wanted me to play for White Phantoms the team that he started playing for.
Did you eventually play for it?
No. I did not play for White Phantoms, and Billy understood why, because I was also being recruited by Real Banjul at that time, and my childhood friends were more or less aligned to Real Banjul, especially Ceesay, and we actually opted to play for Real Banjul because, I mean, that's at that time that was
So
a team of the young people
at the time.
Yeah, so that was and Billy fully understood
Yeah.
that that is where I belong.
And then you both went on to play for the national team.
Yes. From there, I watched him play when I was in high school, and he was just formidable. And definitely, to my mind, I said I would really want to play with this icon. At that time, he was just unbelievable. And I then came to play with him in the national team, and it was such an honor. That's to say the least.
Yeah.
And we played together. I was a midfielder, and he was a striker, and we really connected in the national team. And apart from the national team, after every match or so, I mean, at the level of the family,
Yeah.
he was my mentor.
Absolutely.
Yes, he was.
Why
really
was
my
he
mentor.
so hyped as one of the best during those days? What special skills Billy had at the time?
Billy was an all-rounder. And I have to say this, and if people believe it or not, but I have never seen a player like Billy. I have been in football for so long as a player and later on coach, and I've played out in Europe and all over the place.
Yes, yeah.
I have never seen a player like Billy. Why would I say that? Billy was the best attacking player, especially at the level of at the position of striker.
Yeah.
And then, in addition to that, Billy was the best defender also.
Okay.
So
So he was
what a
versatile.
combination. Under normal circumstances, you see a player who is an attacking player,
Yeah.
and
Also
not
had
very
defense.
good in defense. But Billy was 100% a striker and an
defender.
attacking player, and 100% a defender.
How?
And that was very unique.
How did he combine that?
Well, yeah, he had the skills.
Because
Billy, he was a complete player. He had all the attributes of a complete player. He was fast. He was skillful. He was agile. He was strong. He was an athlete, and he was so hungry as a player. He could just do whatever he wanted with the ball. He was unstoppable. And he had all the attributes. He was just one of the best. It's very difficult to use adjectives. Maybe you need about 10
Yeah.
to describe.
How was he as a human being? You talked about a family, and then later in life, some of us got to know him much later in life. How was he as a human being?
He was a very kind human being, very approachable, and he loved young people. He loved his family also. I used to tell people, in fact, I was just telling George before I came, that Billy was a professional player in the Gambia. Billy never walked anywhere. Billy played football all his life and was taken care of by football. And in terms of family, whatever Billy got from football, Billy shared with his family, and even friends. We were very close, regardless of the fact that we have never played in the same team locally. Until the national
You
team.
were Real, he was Wally.
Yes,
Yeah.
but even that did not feature anywhere.
Yeah.
Even during, before matches, we would be together. We would socialize and do everything.
It was more to play football family rather
yes.
than
But
team.
even after football match, we would do everything in football. After that, we are back to normalcy. We're friends.
Yeah.
Billy was caring, and Billy was very sympathetic also, and he loved what he was doing, and he loved his country. When we talk about commitment, Billy was committed. Billy was very committed to the development of football, and he would do anything and everything for the Gambia.
Absolutely. Now, watching all that, perhaps who's a little bit older than you, was George Gomez, who was football president much later, but he was himself a national team player before both of you set foot in the field for the national team. And he was an athlete too, and he followed football and sports in the Gambia religiously, and even wrote a book about milestones of football in the Gambia. So George, you are more or even better placed to tell us the beginnings of Biri as you reflect.
Thank you, Lamin. I watched Biri from childhood. Biri used to, one of the boys that carried my boots when I was playing football.
Yeah.
And I never played with him in the same team.
Yeah, obviously. You were.
Because I was a bit, when I was in the national team, he was in the junior team. And I remember when we were going to Senegal to play in the Kwame Nkrumah Gold Cup.
Okay.
We decided to smuggle him.
Why do you say smuggle? Because he was a junior player.
And then take him along with us.
Okay.
Just to encourage him.
Okay.
Because even up to that time, one can see the potential in Biri.
Okay.
He was a young guy who loved, and he's always at the Makati Square training at the time.
I see.
And we saw the potential that he's got. And we decided that he came and told us that he wanted to join us.
Okay.
And we didn't want Usman Saho, the then team manager, to know.
To know about it.
And then we asked him to come.
Okay. What would have Saho said? He would say definitely he's not qualified.
He was?
What was Usman Saho going to say if he knows about it?
Well, Usman Saho would have taken him out. If he saw him in Banjul getting into, he would have stopped him.
Okay.
So we decided to cross with him to Bara. We decided to put, because Usman Saho was in another vehicle. So there was this vehicle for the players.
Yes.
And so we took him along. And Usman Saho never knew Biri was in the lorry until we got to Kaula. It was too late now to send Biri back. And he just scolded us and we continued. And this was to encourage him.
Nice.
But here was a young guy who was gifted. He could do anything he wants with the ball. He was fast, he was tactical, and it was a pleasure to see Biri, even at that young age, with the ball, attacking a defense.
Yeah.
This was how good he was. He was just one of those gifted. I have seen a lot of players in the Gambia from 1950s, in the 50s, in the 60s, but I have never seen anybody like Biri. He was just gifted.
Yeah.
And as Musa has said, Biri was just a professional player. Biri has never done anything apart from playing football. In 1965, when Gambia played, there was 63, when Gambia played Liberia.
Yeah.
And Biri, that was the first match of Biri.
Okay, for the national team.
For the national team.
What we say now in modern day football jargon, his debut.
Then in that match, the Sierra Leone Blackpool manager attended that match.
Who was in Monrovia at that time?
He was in Monrovia at the time.
Yeah.
And immediately that match finished, they sent a delegation to Banjul to convince Biri to go to Sierra Leone to play. That was his first playing outside
overseas.
the Gambia.
That was Mighty Blackpool of Sierra Leone.
He then played for Mighty Blackpool Sierra Leone.
He didn't stay long.
He spent 4 months.
And people like who knew him said he came because he was homesick.
He was homesick.
Why?
He came back, and when Biri came back, we thought Biri was, there was a lull in the Sierra Leone League. Then he came back and said, no, he's not going back. He missed the mother. So he decided to. And that was the first. Now, after Biri, Blackpool approached one or two other players like Charles Thomas, Babu Sow, and they refused to go. But Biri was the first Gambian to play in Sierra Leone, outside the Gambia. Now that opened up the door for international play for Biri.
Yeah.
Because soon after that, B1901 came.
Yes.
In 65, 66.
In the B1901 in the 70s.
No. Before B1901 came, In 1970,
yes.
Aliou Kerr,
former
team
manager
up
with Super Eagles.
Super Eagles, with Matar Sarr,
Yes.
who was then the president of the Gambia Athletics Association, took the team to the Commonwealth Games in Scotland, 1970, and they decided to contact Brian Clough of Derby
County.
They visited me in London after the.
You were at the time.
At the time I was in London to tell me what they are planning to do, and they contacted Derby, and Derby decided to give Bury a trial.
I see.
They called me in 1971 to tell me Bury was coming.
Okay.
And I met Bury on arrival at the airport.
You went to collect him?
I went to collect him at the airport in Gatwick.
Yeah.
At the time, British Caledonia was the only flight that left Banjul
to London. Yes.
And they would spend 2 days.
Okay.
They would spend a night in Las Palmas, and the next day they would arrive in London.
Oh, before it became direct flight.
Yes.
When I know about them, they were direct.
Yes. Now it's a direct flight. It takes 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours. But then it was 2 days.
You have to go to Las Palmas.
Las Palmas, spend the night, and you travel.
Okay.
Bury would have been the first African to have played in the league in England.
Yeah.
Because at the time there was no African in the league.
Absolutely.
Bury spent 4 months in Derby, and he was not taken because they were not too happy with his physique.
Oh,
they thought he was too small, and they rejected him.
Okay.
After he came back in 1971, that's when B1901 came. And apart, there were so many young boys that were put in that team to promote promote them.
Yeah.
And but Bury was the only one that they decided to take along.
I see.
And they took him along. And then he signed and then started playing in Denmark. He played in Denmark for 2 years. Then he was signed by Civil.
Okay.
And he went to Civil.
Yes.
He played in Civil for 4 years. And then came back to Gambia.
Yeah.
Went back again to Denmark for a second time.
I see.
And then eventually decided to return back.
I see.
He played 4 years in Denmark. He must have played over 100 matches in Denmark. And he was the first African to play in Civil.
Yes. And he really,
if you look at the photographs
that
are circulating now, Bury would be the only black person.
Among all. Yes, we could see those things. Well,
when Bury came to England for trial, there was no African playing in the league.
He would simply have been the first African.
He would have been the first black and the first African to play. Then, after Bury left, we then had Clive Best, who came from Bermuda and played for West Ham. Then we have Eddie Coker from Sierra Leone that also played for West Ham. Those were the first two Africans, people with color that played in the league.
Bury would have been the first.
And Bury would have been the
so
first.
Great he was.
The first. If that flimsy excuse of
him
his
being too
physique
small had not, well, probably they were short-sighted. Seville discovered that his size actually didn't matter.
And this is a guy who was really gifted, really, and could attract anybody seeing him play. He was that gifted.
Well, at this point, having heard from the two veterans here, we will cross over to the diaspora because there are Gambians lined up who have either watched or followed Bury's program, rather progress and play with very keen and really very patriotic feelings. And 4 of them are lined up. Tijan Masane Ceesay, who was a young man and was a football commentator at the time. There is Buhari Gassama in Sweden, Omar Drame in Norway, Coach Pasamba Jao, you must remember him, he's also in the United States. All of them have come together to give us the, remembrance of Bury the legendary player. So let's have a look.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, fellow countrymen. Today is one sad day in the life of our country. We are sending home one of the greatest sons of this soil, Alhaji Mamadou Njie Biri. Biri was my personal friend, and it was an honor for me to convey him in the last weeks of his life. In the past 2 weeks, I have got to know him much better. I don't talk about his greatness or his football prowess. That is self-magnified. But I want to talk about the man who loved humanity, the man who lights up every place he walks into with a smile. Biri shared everything he had with people around him. He loved his country and would do anything for his nation, like he always did. He was a religious guy. I do not care what we would do. When it was time to pray, Biri was going to pray. He was going to work up Mosque Road, go to the mosque, pray, and then come back. He was God-fearing. Today, our nation sends him home in a very, very fitting and dignified way. As I send my condolences to the entire nation, I want to seize this opportunity to convey my profound gratitude to the President of the Republic and his government for their intervention and support and assistance during the past 2 weeks. The Ministers of Finance and Foreign Affairs and the Chief of Protocol, and of course our embassy staff in Dakar. Thank you. His last words to me were, "How ma wonne wa Gambia ni lañ ma buggee waaye maa ngi fi oo nekkuma fi maa ngi wa Gambia forever." So I think that says it all. I send my sympathies to the entire nation, and I wish you all Godspeed and quick recovery from this great loss. So long, my friends. So long, Alhaji Mamadou Njie, a.k.a. Biri Biri, the greatest ever.
When the whole world doubted our viability, referring to us as an improbable nation, a young man in his early 20s took the torch of a nation, flew the flag of our country with distinction around the world. That man today lays before us. He is Alhaji Mamadou Njie Biri, who had used his trade as an extremely great soccer player to sell our nation around the world. We are forever grateful and indebted to you, Mr. Njie, for everything that you've done as the genuine patriot that you are. As I've said and would say it again, there will never be an other Biri Biri. Not here in the Gambia, not in Africa. You were a pace setter, the first black man to play for Seville, the man whose name they sing in the stands after 42 years of retiring from that team. We'll miss you greatly, but we thank you and we'll continue to emulate you for your patriotism and dedication to country. Rest in peace, my brother.
Assalamu alaikum. Mangi tuda Buhari Gassama di recordé video bi ni si Stockholm si réewi Sweden. Mangi nuyu ñi fi teew yépp di doore suma nuyoo si famille Alhaji Mamadou Ndiaye ñu gënoon ko xamee ci biiri biiri di nuyu kilifa yi fi teew yépp di nuyu mag ak ndaw góor ak jigéen di nuyu waa Gambia yépp di leen jaale ci li nga xam ne moom lañ ñaaka ñun ñëpp ñoo bokka dëj bii nii biiri nag lim defal Gambia moom kenn mënut a toog di ko wax ñun xanaa liñ mën a def rek mooy delloo ko njukkal gërëm ko ne ko gàcce ngaalaama jërëjëf si li nga defal réew mi di ko ñaanal yal na ko yàlla xare aljannatul firdaus yal na saraxam yàgga si loxo familleem ak loxo réew mi yépp yal na ko yàlla defal jàmm fi mu jëm mu gënal ko fi mu jógee yal na ko yàlla xare aljannatul firdaus di won mbooloom yépp ne lii ni moom suñ naxar la ak suñ tiis parce que biir yi wax dëgg neex yàlla nit ku oyof la woon nit ku baax la woon ñëpp a ko seedeel loolu noonu daal oyofam ak baaxayam ñëpp a ko seedeel so di nga gis ne moom lim defar réew mi bi nga xam ne ñu baree bari ñi dégg toog fii nii tey sax ak ñi nga xam ne majority of Gambians judduwuñu woon at that time sax so mu defar Gambia loolu noonu ba ñëw ba di ko def ak moromi doomam yi di represent Gambia at all levels di play football so ñun mënuñ koo fay Gambia mënuñ koo fay di ko ñaanal yal na ko yàlla defal jàmm di ñaax nag yàgga nañoo taxaw si jéem a def comme pétition wala di ñaan pour Independence Stadium bi ñu tuddee ko Alhaji Mamadou Ndiaye ñu ne tuddee ko biiri stadium so yàgga nañoo taxaw si loolu noonu di ñaax tey nag am na ñu amee pétition si di dem around Gambia foofu noonu so ñu ngay ñaan ñëpp sign am nañ already online collect nañ. Assalamu alaikum.
Many thanks Tijan Ceesay for inviting me to pay homage to the football legend Alhaji Mamadou Ndiaye Biri on behalf of the Gambian community in Norway and on my own behalf. These are indeed difficult times, and I join the many thousands of people in the Gambia and around the world in mourning the loss of this great son of our country. Undoubtedly, the most accomplished Gambian football player, Biri is a household name who touched many lives across 3 generations. Growing up in the 70s at Lancaster and Wellesley Streets in Banjul, I have vivid and fond memories of watching him play at the Boxbar Stadium and later the Independence Stadium, where he was a nightmare to his opponents. He was, I would say, singularly responsible for putting the Gambia on the global football map as a true ambassador and champion in post-independent Gambia. Biri was not only successful as a player, but also as a coach. Biri helped the Gambia High School win the senior inter-schools football competition in 1987 by beating Saints 1-0. I was myself part of the team he put together in 1986-87, including my teammates Paul Louis Tomasi, Ibu Jara, who is now the current Real de Banjul coach, Adama Jubate, Male Salah, among others. This was historic, and I am certain that this will not go down well with Saints folks, but perhaps Mr. Usman Sabali himself can confirm this. I am sure he can confirm that under Biri, the Gambia High School was a better football team. Biri made a lasting impression with his characteristic smile, his kindness, generosity, humor, and great personality. People from all walks of life found him endearing. Even Sevilla, in their tribute, stated that few people or few players had left a mark on the fans like Biri did. His love for his country and the people of the Gambia is indisputable. Many from his generation can attest to this. In celebrating Biri, the Gambian Association invited him to Norway last summer to present him with an award together with his
from, well, in that order, Ceesay, like I said, he was a young journalist. Much of the time Biri was playing here, but he really followed every bit of football played here during that time. And in fact, he himself is another author of Gambia's football history from 1975 to 85. He wrote, you know. And then we have Buhari Gassama, Gambian, living in Sweden, and Omar, the last president to talk over there. Who do I leave behind? Yeah, that's right. Pasamba Joe, of course, coach. Now, Musa, how do you have those tributes? And finally, of course, we're getting up to close thing. How do you want the Gambia to remember Biri after all this state funeral and everything? You had people suggesting that perhaps we should name the stadium after him. How would you want Gambia to remember Biri in terms of football?
Well, Lamin, Biri has done so much for the Gambia. If we are to remember Biri, it is obvious that it has to be by way of an edifice. Biri has been decorated so many times. Those medals are with his family. The upcoming generation, if they want to know about Biri, Biri must be seen some place where, well, statue is one. At the same time, I think statue is a little bit too small for Biri.
Depending on where you put it.
Yes, depending on where you put it. But what I would like to actually suggest that it has to be an edifice where people would always converge. Biri was Gambia's all-time and one of the best in Africa. One of the best in Africa. Biri was one of the best strikers in Africa. Gambia is a small nation.
And then this raised questions. Somebody said, well, what makes Biri's story so miraculous is that while in today's times you would have considered a player who had won European Champions League or Europa, or perhaps taken his team to the African Nations Cup or to the World Cup, you know, in today's times, those are the players we consider. None of this is in Biri's achievement, yet he stood out.
Well, yes. In fact, if Biri was in the right team, then Biri would have actually achieved all those things. But small Gambia, and Biri was outstanding. Biri was as outstanding as any of the top African players, Laurent Poku and all those guys.
So it was a question of, the right atmosphere.
Unfortunately, it was small Gambia, and then Gambia never excelled to the extent of playing in Nations Cup and World Cups and things like that. So that was one of the problems. But in terms of ability and in terms of performing, showcasing yourself, and Biri has actually matched every top African player. And if you look at Biri at that time, also when he played at Seville, I was in Seville once, and I watched Biri play against Valencia. Valencia had a player, a prominent player from Mali called Salif Keita.
Oh yes.
Nicknamed Domingo.
Yeah.
Who actually played with, against Biri in the Gambia. And I watched Seville play against Valencia, and Biri outshined him. I mean, Biri was the best.
Absolutely.
Biri was the best. It was just unfortunate that, it was Biri from the Gambia, and Seville was not a renowned team at that time like the Barcelonas, and he could have equally played for Real Madrid. He was as good as any top player at that time. And another thing that I would like to let people know, Biri's scoring ability. The abilities that Biri had were enormous, unbelievable. Unique. Biri was unstoppable. There was no single defender who could actually mark Biri out of the game. When I remember when we played, when we were players at Real Banjul, it was a headache whenever we were playing against Walidan, and we understand
and it was
that
always the biggest.
Yes,
it was a derby.
Biri has flown in. He used to fly in the Gambia to come and play, and we would sit and strategize for about 50-20 minutes how to contain him. And we would. It was not one defender who could. There was no way. We used to pin a defender to Biri, and then had a trailer.
I see.
So we knew that Biri would beat any player on one-on-one, and then you would have another
man.
And this is what the other national teams would always do. So he was unique. And another thing that people fail to realize, Biri was an athlete. Biri was one of the top sprinters in the Gambia. One time we were camped in I think in Yundum College or Brikama. And then the national, there was an athletic event going on. We actually formed a 4x100 relay team made up of national team players, football players.
Really?
And we traveled to Banjul to participate in the 4x100 meters. And it was a photo finish.
Biri was good. I think I was told he could compete against
absolutely. He was
like Chico and Jai,
Kapi, and all those guys, Perjalo,
etc.
So you know, Biri was just unique. Biri was. I have never seen any player that challenged Biri in the air and won the ball.
Absolutely.
There was no way.
Why was he? Why was he so?
He was an athlete.
If you look at in the 1970s, 60s going to 70s. How Europe was like. You very rarely. I went to England in '64, and it took me about 3 months before I saw a Gambian. in '64. In '70, it didn't change much. There were very few Africans around, and very few Africans, if any, at the time, playing in the National League of England. Much more of Spain.
At the time,
You know, for Biri to have played, to have been signed, to be even considered by Derby at the time, because Derby was then one of the top 4 in England. And later on to be signed by Civil.
Was great enough.
He must have been very, very, very good.
Yes.
He must have been very good.
You were trying to say.
So he was just gifted.
Even at that time, Kola alone could have prevented you from. Kola alone could have prevented you from.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So you must be extremely good to be a black man to reach this height.
And he was that extremely good.
Absolutely. Why was he very popular in the sub-region?
Well, he was.
We have very few minutes to go, but I like this point. Why was he very popular?
He was popular because of his uncanny ability to take on. Defenders not only one. He would dribble 1, 2.
He was particularly well known.
And he was a scorer. Biri would take any opportunity to score a goal. I mean, one time we had a free kick in the dying minutes. He said, "Raka, just def ko fare, foko def rek man mangfa." I hit it so low, and Biri actually dove, headed the ball, and went inside the net. With the ball. So he would do anything to win. He was a winner. He was so ambitious. The Senegalese were dead. They were so afraid of Biri.
Absolutely. Yes.
Their strategy has always been.
He has this great standing and admiration among the Senegalese.
But he was a complete player. He was a complete player. We have played matches where we were leading 2-1 or 1-0, leading by 1, and then Biri would run to the coach and said, "Please switch me over to defend. Let us consolidate this lead." Last 12 minutes, and Biri would go and mark the best striker of the opponent and mark him out of the match.
Stop for the goals, yes.
So he was
He was
I mean,
versatile.
he was one of a kind, like the Americans say. He was one of a kind.
George, I see he's very much endeared, even in Senegal.
I didn't get quite.
I actually is equally, even if not more, admired by Senegalese.
You see, Biri's ability would be admired by everybody who knows football. I remember Biri, even in practice, practicing at the Makati Square.
Yeah.
The women that are going to the market would stand watching Biri. He was that gifted.
Yes.
And because of the gift that he had, because of what he can do with the ball, that was why he was very popular in Africa.
Absolutely.
Particularly in Senegal. The Senegalese one Biri was one of the people that the Senegalese would respect so much.
In fact,
and they, you know, if Biri would play, Senegal would think that they would lose.
Absolutely.
Because he was difficult to mark.
In fact,
he was difficult to mark.
In fact, Lamin, the Senegalese tried to recruit Biri to the Senegalese league many times.
I see.
But then Biri refused. He said, if I come to Senegal, then Gambia's football is finished. So we must, it is absolute that we remember Biri. We must change the name of Independence Stadium and call it Alaji Biri Stadium. I think that is apt, and this is the best the nation can do for Biri.
I made the proposal. It's being checked.
Yeah.
And what I suggested was that the number 10 of Gambia be retired in his honor for the next 3 years.
Absolutely. Well,
but I think they're checking whether FIFA would allow that or not. I know there are countries that have done it in the past, but subsequently I am told that it has been stopped. I doubt. I have my doubts, because the country decides which number to give to anybody. So if they decide that the number 10 will not be given again to anybody,
I don't think anybody has any,
and that will
it can be done in
club.
club.
It can be done in club level.
Yeah,
Not
at
at
the
FIFA
club level, it can be done.
Yes.
At the club level.
All right.
But I mean, whatever the case may be, it has to be visible.
It has to be visible.
It has to be
A
visible.
statue or stadium with name after him.
Absolutely. I mean,
I heard from the tribute that was given that the GFF have decided to name something.
That has been there.
Yeah, but that, fine. That is appreciated, but that is too small.
That's not enough.
No, that's not. It is appreciated, obviously, because by but I mean, the national stadium is definitely
or
the
at
best.
least a statue inside the stadium.
A statue in the stadium,
a prominent place that everybody will remember.
Well, whatever the case may be, I think that it has to be something big. It has to be something big.
Right. Thank you very much, Musa Njai, veteran player who played with Biri in the national team and also against each other, of course, in the National League, Real de Banjul and Walid, and respectively George Gomez, much more even veteran, and who also played in the national team, and so Biri came to the team and followed it and even wrote a book on Gambian football. George also is a retired sports administrator in many ways. He was president of the Gambia Football Federation and for a long time Gambian Olympic official. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for sharing your thoughts on Biri. Well, you know how I remember Biri? I was very small in school, very far from the capital, Banjul, but I remember, you know, even in those days, when we went out for PE, anybody who played well would say, this man is Biri. Everybody would say, this is Biri, I'm like Biri. Then we had no idea.
Especially if you are a dribbler.
If you are a dribbler. Anybody who could play well, the thing they compared, that boy is like Biri.
Yeah.
When actually we didn't have any idea who was Biri.
Yeah.
I first saw him in 1980 at February 18, Independence Zone 2, when Senegal beat us. I went there with my, my cousin. We watched the parade at the Makati Square, and he said, no, we have to stay here until in the evening there'll be a match. So he took me there, and I was too small. He would pick me up, lift me, and when I look around, when he was tired, he would put me down. I wouldn't see it. Until after the match, we went to, shake their hands. Everybody was sad, but we were very delighted that we saw those names we have been hearing about. So that was
a very dedicated son of the soil.
Absolutely. So
and I hope others would try and emulate. And I also hope that people who are in the positions to celebrate.
Briefly, let me put you on spot. You've been involved in the technical preparation of the national team.
Yeah.
People said somebody who would have been close to him would have been Assis Cole, some say Jato Ceesay, Malewada. Who would you think would have come a little bit close?
I don't think anybody.
Not that anyone of they are important.
No, for the mere fact that Piri was multidimensional.
Oh yeah.
Those players that you name, they are all attacking players.
Yeah.
They are skillful. But nobody would match Piri in terms of skills and attacking. But then Piri was also a defender. So he was multi-purpose player.
He was versatile.
And he was versatile, and that is and then. The ability to score goals and the passion he had for the game. Unmatched. Maybe the next 50 years we'll be lucky to have somebody like that. But I think he deserves. He deserves everything. Biri cannot be repaid by the government or by anybody. But at least let us just celebrate him with something that would be everlasting.
Right, and one veteran told me, if I ended from that, he said both the government of Jawara and Jammeh missed out on something. They could have made Biri ambassador of Spain and get a very seasoned diplomat to work under him. He said that would have done very well for our relationship between Gambia and Spain.
Guinea did it.
Guinea did it.
Papa Camara, who was the midfielder and the captain of Guinea, when we played, we became the ambassador in Spain.
You see, with what we have seen, how they celebrated him, if we had made use of him, made him ambassador, and get a seasoned diplomats to work under him, perhaps, our relationship with Spain would have been even greater than it is. But that's it. We cannot finish our eulogies, for Biri. That's about in the brunch today. Thank you very much for joining us. Once again, Musa Njai and George Gomez. Thank you. And before them, you had a heated parliamentary debate between 3 parliamentarians about the hectic last session in Parliament. Until I come back next week, I'm in Cham wishing you have a great day.
gannaaw bu ñu sante yàlla julli war si yonente bi di sant suñu waajur di nuyu ñëpp di sant ñëpp man maay Papa Ñaawut Njaay ñu bëri gën moo xamee si ñii di ma oyes yi may ñii Ñaawut ñii Njaay Gambia waaw. waaw ñaw dafa nekk loo xam ne moom si ñun la nekk waaw comme man dama juddu fekk ko fi juddu si koñ boo xam ne nii yaroo nii comme ay atelier dañ fa bëri mu nekk loo xam ne nii comme dama ko yaaga naw depuis bu ma nekk xale te dama nekkoon koo xam ne depuis jamono yi ma dem school sax wàllum ñaw yi nii ak ay sanse yi nii comme lu ma bëggoon la daal so xam nga bu ma demee ba di mag ma gis ne yoon la maa ngi doon dem school jeex dem naa ba graduate grade 12 dugga university ba def naa jeexal naa force yooyu yëpp waaye ma jàpp ne ba léegi comme mun naa dugga si métier bi daal xam nga yëpp benn la so ma try dugga si métier ñaw bi bu ma si duggee nag yàlla xam nga mu tàccul ma si ñu sante ko yàlla bu baax tamit mu nekk loo xam ne bu ma si duggee yàggut waaye nit yi teel nañ ma see ràññee daal ba xam nga ñu ngi see def ay jaloore yu daw a ndaw si diggante bi. waaw man comme benn xale la bu nekk fii si Sukuta Sanjaba gars yi génnoon moo xamee si biir Serekunda ak surrounding bi biir Dipakunda foofu am fii benn atelier si benn pukus bu ndaw nii rek di dóor waar ak suma gars di xam nga nekkal fii pour créer daal góor yi ak jigéen yi ak xale yi ay ñaw yu rafet daal. non fii ñun moom suñ biggest problème moom suñ biggest jafe-jafe si wàllum ñaw bi daal mooy comme électricité moom courant moom bokk na si loo xam ne nii bokk na si lu ñu dee gën a sonal bu baax a baax a baax a baax waaye su passé loolu noonu tamit am nañ yeneen ay problème diggante bu ñoo door ak léegi xam nga ñaw moom dafa nekk métier boo xam ne mooy loolu ni ko dëkk bi de waxee ñawkat yi jubuñ ñawkat yi lii dugg na fii génn na fële diggante ak client yi waaye loolu it ñun nañ si dee très suñ almost bés bi nga xam ne duñ dee mun a am délai suñ diggante ak customer yi wala disappointment waaye loolu bokk na si comme problème yu gën a mag dëgg yaa gis koo xam ne dafa ñëw ba ëllëg nu ne ëllëg àjjuma la ëllëg la soxla yére bi ñëw jox la ko si diggante bi nga ñëw pour fi nga am ay gàllankoor wala ay jafe-jafe si diggante bi affaire si ñàkk a mun a pare mu ñëw du ko mun a understand fekk yow deep down yow xam nga nu mu fa demee waaye xam nga customer rek su la joxee xaalisam wala mu fay la daf day jàpp ne am na ordre pour mu dégg la loolu mooy dégg nag waaye yeneen xam nga am na ay jafe-jafe yu si dee mun a nekk yoo xam ne nii ñoom duñ ko dee mun a understand si ñun la dee nekk waaye loolu yëpp ñu ngi see sant yàlla bu baax te ñu ngi see gën a góorgóorlu bi nga xam ne nu ñoo magee nii daal yooyu yu bëri ñu ngi ko jéem a génnee si diggante bi nga xam ne dinañ di am 100% customer satisfaction daal incha allah. waaw bu ñëw stade moom bu ma stade maa ngi remember bu maa ngi nekkoon Serekunda biir Dipakunda foofu benn nit rek laa employé ba with time after génnoon naa foofu ñëw si kaw tali bi Latrikunda boobu tam amoon na ay 4 to 5 employees ba yàlla nu moo gën a ubbee xewal léegi maa ngi fii si Sukuta am na about 6 employees yoo xam ne nii ñu ngi fii ñoo xam ne man ak gars yi ñooy liggéey te about 3 of them Gambians lañ so ñu ngi see sant yàlla bu baax. waaw man moom naka jekka moom ñëpp suma client lañ moom muy mag muy xale muy góor ak jigéen waaye si lu ma gën a li si yuñ gën a concentré wala si mooy si wàllum yëre góor ak yëre góor moom bokk na si loo xam ne nii comme fonka nañ ko bu baax ndeg soo gisee ma gën koo fonka dafa nekk loo xam ne si suma boppa laa ko dee seetee waaw comme man dama dee toog lu ñëw suma xel pour ma defal ko suma boppa rek su ma ko solee dinaa jàpp ne dinaa am ñeneen si biti ñoo xam ne nii dinañ ko bugga wala na leen jàppa man dama feel ne comme moo tax every week or every Friday nit yi dañ dee gis ma fula sol ay xaftaan yu ees wala fekk du comme business wise daf te nekk loo xam ne man su ma solee xaftaan aw ma si benn ñaar wala ñetti customer rek dama jàpp ne yëre boobu dafa feel waaw comme man lu ma sore at least every week or every week war naa am 4 to 5 nit yoo xam ne ni dinañ bugg a exact the same thing or anything similar to that noonu laa lifinee daal moo tax si yëre góor laa gën a concentré waaye tamit bàyyiñ yëpp nag ñu ngi si yëre jigéen ñi ñu ngi si yëre xale ak mageen dik tamit am nga jigéen ñi si lañ bokk atale moom soo doon ñëw yëre jigéen moom jigéen yaay dem xew jigéen yaay dem nata ñooy dem tour ñooy dem sabar ñooy def gaamo yeeg difin yeeg yëpp te ñoom ñoo nekk ñoo xam ne dañoo solo every week góor yi moom léegi la rek xam nga léegi moom every Friday dem liggéey wala weekday sax gis nañ ne ñëpp a ngay sol jéem a mun a sol xaftaan or anything luy similar to it pour dem liggéey ba pare léegi ñu ngi see créer ñëw yoo xam ne nii di nga ko mun a sol pour demee ko anywhere muy di office yi muy di dem liggéey o dem si lu mun di nekk rek ba pare dina mun a dem ak fii suñu weeda bi nga xam ne dëkk bi ñun ñëpp xam nañ ne daf dee tàng trop waaye dañ dee jéem a mun a créer loo xam ne nii dina dem ak loo comme fii weeda bi nu mu dee demee. waaw xam nga métier moom dafa yaatu te ñëpp xëj nañ si ba pare ñaw nekk na métier boo xam ne suñ ko seetee léegi si dëkk bi droit boo toon di nga gis ñaar ba ñetta ba ñeneenti atelier nekk na métier boo xam ne dafa dox parce que fii ñun suñ ko bàyyi xel suñ jigéen yeeg suñ mère suñ baay ak yëpp duñ sol leneen loo xam ne ni nekkul yére boo xam ne dañ ko ñëw xëj na ñun xale sax ñooy jéem a mu yeneen sol européen ak yeneen waaye dafa nekk métier boo xam ne dox na trop ak mboolem beneen métier sax waaye yëpp dox nañ waaye ñëw nekk na loo xam ne képp ku si bugg a dugga soo si concentré jox ko axam dina nekk loo xam ne di nga si raw incha allah te youth si moom ñu nañ bàyyi toog bi xam nga nañ bàyyi toog bi yaakaare ko si dem out wala dem Europe wala leneen feneen ak feneen yëpp nañ xam ne fii mun nañ ko fee méeg te xam nga yàlla moom fépp la nekk waaw yàlla fépp la nekk foo mun di nekk si biir dëkk bi moom yàlla looy ñaan yàlla mooy si looy munti dugga sa wërsëg na si nekk ba pare na nekk li gën si yow parce que xam nga dugga si loo xam ne tamit gënut si yow wala mu nekk loo nga dugga si loo xam ne yow da nga si pare pour caaxaan gëmuloo ko xam naa ne doo si réussir doo si dem daal waaye su nekkee loo xam ne 100% yow gëm nga ne you can do it di nga ko def soo si duggee yàlla na la si may ndam su neexee yàlla waaw fii moom ñun ñu ngi Sukuta Sancaba mun nañ ne Sancaba Suley Diop ñii ne Sukuta waaye comme pour nga am easy access pour ñëw fii soo ñëwee ba Sukuta Lambaya Johnson rek di nga gis tab billboard bi just opposite Lambaya Johnson soo duggee rek adale bi ngay jàkkaarlool si biir koñ bi straight waaw fii man maa ngi amee suma ñaari number yu ma use mooy Africell bi 7509077 boobu moom ku ma bugg a call direct wala pour mu gën a yomba pour nga am ma daal si boobu soo ma callee si number boobu di nga ma am waaye su ma buggee am WhatsApp tamit or any other lifin di nga ma mun a call si ma Qcell bi mooy 377 2777 377 2777 boobu tam di nga soo demee suma social media page yi yëpp boobu moo fa nekk soo ma seenee message rek di nga ma am o mun nga ma am on Facebook Instagram ak Twitter boobu yëpp soo li fi ne Ñaawut Creation o Pa Ñaawut rek di nga ma gis incha allah.
la domoro ka diyaten
boy jannon Ceesay restaurant
e say nakko be ni na dimbal nimbe domoro kala janno
domoro seneyata adiyata topotoro fanan kendema bije luntan during tamala abeka domoro ki janni adi manda wala de te ka we bijele anim fanan ka fadi jang ikono e fa e ka fa minne ko pastry anim bakery iko fanan be kalele badde lomba conference lomba workshop lomba ye fo fendin lon dunia kono domoro betama nyillom international o toda number 1
amanke ba domo la jandama
e sa domo jang is atariya
a wo mu kubandi sa nakko sa futandi e oto sa nakko be mu Ceesay restaurant
ndafa nan janna mu yat ni manje dorom bijam
aban
Ceesay restaurant, known for best quality food and customer satisfaction.
Miss B Designer Outlet is the #1 quality and affordable stop shop for all your needs. Get your evening dresses, suit and ties, office wears for both ladies and gentlemen, beach wears, sport wears, pure leather shoes for men, quality belts, bags, heels for all beautiful ladies, original perfumes, accessories, and a lot more. Find us at Kololini Road opposite Gaddafi Mosque at the Aqua Bridge Station, or call us on 295-3411 or 764-2486. Miss B Designer Outlet. Shop right, look good.
Love like fire. Wow. Love like fire. Xam ngeen rek affaire bi xam ngeen fan la? Skincare la. 2020 lañ wax de. Waaw. Fii nag mooy Kerr fan Kerr zero tache. Perfect skin. Skincare saa su ne rek niñ ko dee defee rek loo lañ soxlaati rek maanaam bu dee am problème ci seen skin yéen xam ngeen fan la fii ngeen di ñëw suma xarit yeeg am di jàmm yi nga xam ne taas daf lañ sonaloon xam nga doon xeesal ba la ka xum éneew ma lañ ko nag waaye just in case comme ni ko gars yi defee rek en cas just in case loolu xew xam ngeen fi ngeen di ñëw fii ngeen di ñëw Skincare Plus si yu baax rek la ñoo dox nag ay baax rek fu ne la ñoo dem ci réew mi di lañ indi rek nag products yu baax du Paris du Italie du USA du fi mu nekk nii sax boole nañ ci nag Sweden fu nekk lañ leen a indilee products bu dee tamit nag da nga ñuul rek ñu lay jamaa natural beauty that melanin dripping we do have stuff for you as well emuñ si skincare products rek ñu ngi ci cuub yi tamit fu ne la ñoo jaar in fact sax last commercial bi ñu defoon waxuñ leen woon ne dañoo dox ci ay kawar 9A grade rek nag waaw we do have bundles as well hair si lu ne la ñoo dox ñun ñu ngi ci rafetal jigéen rek luy taaral jigéen rek waaw boo leen di tukki tamit bëggoon rek classic suitcase ñu dañoo dox ci ay Samsonite duñ dee indi any brand of suitcases though other than Samsonite comme li ma dee wax rek boo eggee airport dëri Samsonite dafa am nuñ laa xoolee waaw ngeen ne lan nag waaw skin ci moom la ñu gën a xamee nag skin care products ci moom la ñu gën a xamee ñu ngi dox tamit bentee tamit si ay dàlla man waaye man nag skin care mooy suma specialty xam nga rek jigéen bu sa xar kanam réglé loo def mu jag am nañ Patricia Reiner Kiwi Eye the whole range Lighten Up Gold Tomatine I mean the list can just go on and on and on and on lépp loo xam ne rek luy taaral jigéen la ci yooyu rek la ñoo dox skin care plus nag emuñ si Gambia rek ñu ngi United States ñu ngi Gambia fii ba pare bu dee yaa ngi anywhere in Europe mun nañ la ko mail within 3 days rek ñetti fan rek nga jot say diw emuñ si loolu rek dañ laa consult tamit balaa ñu laa jaay diw dinañ def a free consultation pour wax la rek exactly li nga xam ne moo méngoo ak sa kanam dinañ leen wax tamit ne rek am nañ perfumes fragrances men's shirts accessories we do dresses as well we do blouses I mean we do shoes name it we do them Skincare Plus 2020 is our year of perfection zero task fi mu nekk nii réew mi fii kenn waratu fi task kenn waratu fi am problème kanam kenn waratu fi am problème picture boo ko amee dafa fekk ne rek ñëwuloo ci place bi fii